I hope everyone has been hyped as much as I have been for this one. I'll start with a quick introduction. My name is Seikosha. I'm a Battlestate Games Sherpa from the Netherlands. I've been so since February, and I will be your host. Starting today, every 3 weeks, we'll do an epic podcast about everything Tarkov. And I'm joined today by two epic other Sherpas. Please say hi, Mr. Ledge.
Hey guys, nice to meet you.
Welcome in. And below me, I got Mr. Turbobear. With a great bow. Welcome in, boys. I'm very happy to be joined by you two today. Well, let's start with what the Sherpa podcast actually is. We wanted to do something more activity on the Sherpahub. So we're going to talk about some things that are happening in Tarkov, give you some updates about notably things that happened or are happening in Tarkov right now. We're just going to have a good chat about that. And afterwards, we'll have one rotating educational topic, which today will be everything about grenades. So there will be a lot of things that we will talk about grenades. Basically, we'll get into that a little bit later. We have some clips prepared for you as well. So the goal is to learn and teach you something as true Sherpa should be about nades and how you use them in Tarkov that maybe you not have known yet. And going forward, it will also be possible for you guys live watching now to send in clips that we can take a look at in the next podcast about the next topic, so we can actually like get some interaction with chat and learn from each other and each other's clips, because I think that's what the Sherpas are all about. If there's any questions, we will have a question section at the end of the podcast, so feel free to ask them in chat, of course, but we will save some of those questions until the end of the educational topic. Welcome in, everyone, again. I hope everyone will be interested in what we're going to tell you guys today. But before we go into the nade section, I think it's good to get a little short interview with the two guys that are with me here today. Let's start with Mr. Turbo, man. Turbo, can you do a quick introduction? Where are you from?
Sure. I'm from Poland. I've lost track of time about how long have I been a Sherpa, but I've been enjoying it greatly. I started because when I started playing Tarkov, people helped me, so I thought that it's good to help others, and that's why I joined the program. And I've been enjoying it ever since.
Nice, man. Nice. How long have you been playing Tarkov yourself?
Almost 6,000 hours.
Oh man, okay.
Oh my goodness.
Well, welcome 5K MD, Mr. Turbo. And
yeah.
Over how much wipes are you like an alpha player? Did you join last wipe? How many wipes have you played?
No. I think I don't know how many wipes actually. No, it's gonna be around 8, 9, 10. I don't know.
Okay,
but it's
nice.
Somewhere between 2 and 3 years ago. I believe it might have been May 2020.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
So not that long. There are people with longer tenures here.
But you did put in some hours, that's for sure. I'm pretty sure that's what got you to become a Sherpa.
Yeah, that's called lack of life. But let's not get into that.
All right. Well, talking about Sherpa, so you already touched on it a little bit. Why did you become a Sherpa yourself?
It's like I said, when I started out, I fed some friendly people who helped me out, and I just, wanted to kind of pay it forward and help others.
Very cool, man. I think that's the reason for most of us to actually help people and teach them something. What do you enjoy the most while being a Sherpa? Is there like something specific that like keeps you being one? Like, what's the cool thing about it?
Yeah, you're not gonna like that one.
Okay.
No. But don't worry. I really like when there's a new player, and I can teach the new player that there's more ways to play than just Shift W like all the best streamers do. Because to get to that point where you can be confident and good enough, where you can just push around ultra fast, you really need to get through the basics as well. So I enjoy showing them that there are other possibilities and other ways to play.
Nice. I think it's very important. Like, it's definitely a problem I run into when people like put in a Sherpa ticket. I've seen some Sherpa tickets that are like, okay, how do I become landmark? And it's like, okay, I started last week. How do I become landmark? And it
man.
actually starts with like explaining them that they need to know all the basics before they can even consider playing like that. And to some degree,
Exactly.
it's a very poor for them to look at someone like Landmark that has so many hours in the game, so much game knowledge, game sense, good aim, all the good things that they need. So definitely agree with that. That they need to go back to the actual basics, learn the maps first, learn how questing, how rotation works, like all these basic things are so important, and then you can start deciding how to play.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you describe your own playstyle as?
It's varied, you know. It depends on the day and what I feel like. Sometimes I'll follow my uh, brother from Netherlands, Mr. Seikosha here, and just sprint around and zoom everywhere. And some other times I'll just chill and use a marksman rifle from afar.
All
So
right.
it's just completely dependent on my mood, you know.
I can understand that. It's a really cool thing about Tarkov that you can play this however you want, depending on your day, your map, your gun choice, the way you like to play the game. Definitely not one way that you can win in Tarkov, right?
Definitely.
All right. Well, to start it off, then, what is the best tip you can give to newer players? Maybe you'll give it every time in a Sherpa session, or maybe it's a very broad thing. What's like the one tip that you would like to give someone that's new and playing the game?
Okay, the one thing I basically always say to a new player, don't get stressed about this wipe that you started right now. Use it as an opportunity to learn. Don't listen to people telling you what gun or playstyle is the best. Just try to test out as many weapons as possible so you can find whatever feels good for you and whatever you enjoy and feel comfortable using.
I think that's a very sound advice.
That's really good.
Yeah, I think you're definitely not the only
Well,
one that
thank you,
would say
gents.
that. All right. Cool, man. Thank you so much for your introduction, Turbo. If anyone has questions for Mr. Turbo, feel free
My
to
pleasure. Thank you very
throw them
much.
in the chat. Well, then we go to our American boy, Mr. Ledge. Welcome in.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's good to be here, brother.
Hell yeah, man. Can you give me a short introduction of yourself, please?
Oh, absolutely. So hey guys, my name's Ledge. I'm an American, born and raised out of Kansas, but I moved all over. I'm up in upstate New York now, and I've been playing Tarkov since oh my god, like roughly late 2019. I think I joined either the wipe of or just after the reserve release.
Okay, cool.
It was fresh new.
Same. All right. Well, to give you one of the questions I gave Mr. Bear as well. What playstyle do you enjoy the most playing Tarkov?
Oh man, so I'm predominantly a solo player. Um, and on that, I actually love the sniping mechanics in the game. So I actually will run as a solo sniper. I do a lot of rotation, a lot of really long distance fighting. It's why you'll actually see me on Lighthouse doing everything I can to deny access to the compound.
Oh, you're one of those. Okay.
Oh
noted.
yeah, it's me. I know. I'm the crazy one. I actually like Lighthouse. It's like my resident home. But yeah, no, there's a lot of rotation movement in mind games that going on, especially with like distraction diversion as a solo. So
nice, man.
Absolutely.
I think that kind of leads me to the next question, and I think I already know what kind of answer we're getting here. But what's your favorite gun in the game then?
Right now, my favorite gun in the game, and actually it's been since I first started playing the game, was the Knights Armament Company SR-25.
Nice.
It shoots my favorite NATO round, M80. It's super accurate, and it gives me enough fire rate that I could actually push in and fight close range. Also, its accuracy at distance is beautiful, especially when you're shooting rogues.
Oh yeah, you need that accuracy, right?
100%. MOA is a way of life, baby.
Oh, and definitely overlooked sometimes, especially when it goes for sniping, I guess. You definitely do not want a high MOA gun, or maybe a low durability one for that.
No, exactly. Oh, man.
All right. Ledge, how long have you been a Sherpa, man?
So, I'm actually a relatively new Sherpa. I joined the program and made trial in June. Right, so I'm one of the fresh Sherpas, but I've been active in the community, helping teach for well over a year and a half. Yeah, still relatively green.
New and green, but maybe not new in teaching. Okay, got it. It's a pleasure to have you as a Sherpa, man.
I love to be here.
Let's go. What's your favorite thing to teach other players?
My favorite thing to teach
Yeah.
is you might see this one coming, is I love teaching Lighthouse, both from a map perspective, but especially with helping newer players get comfortable with rogue AI and how aggressive and incredibly aimbody / high accuracy they are. So I love that first time when somebody gets that slow right hand peek right the first time and drops that gunner rogue. Beautiful. It's like music to my ears, man.
That's nice. That's nice. I asked the same question to Turbo. I'll change it a little bit. What's the thing that you always teach people that you have a Sherpa session with? What's like that one tip you give everyone in your sessions?
This is a no-brainer for me. And it might sound cheesy or generic, but I always make sure that I teach Sherpalings about understanding their gear and ammo, no matter how cheap or weird it is, or if it's all they have and they're scraping the bottom of the barrel. Because if we identify how even the most risque, broken, no dust cover AK can be used most effectively, not necessarily a meta perspective on it, but if you know that your rounds are only going to be doing flesh damage, then understanding how you can use that the best way that you can is going to improve your life so much.
Oh yeah,
in game and in your stashes and whatnot.
Oh, I definitely agree with that. Like, very often I ask them like, "What gun are you running right now?" and look up the ammo on the ammo chart, and they'll be like, "Oh, that makes sense."
Oh yeah, dude.
Now I understand why I died less rate.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the. Why'd you choose that?
Yeah.
Do you know what that means? And then I usually direct them to the wiki. If they don't, yeah, if you don't know exactly what something means, like if you can't tell me your pen amount or the damage amount, I'm like, wiki, bro.
Yeah, double click the item in game. If it doesn't tell you what you want to know, head to the wiki, type it in. It's like, I think personally, the ballistics page, the healing system, and the quest page are probably the 3 pages in the wiki I touch on every Sherpa session that I do with people that are new to the game. It's like,
absolutely, man. I actually have them hotkeyed on my stream deck.
Oh, really?
yeah. I have like I have like half of the wiki site on my fingertips. I use it specifically for Sherpa sessions.
That's a cool thing to know, man.
Yeah.
I'll look into that, having that hotkey on that way.
Oh, dude, I'll send you the preset later.
Okay, cool. All right, well, thank you guys for the introduction. I think there's some cool things that are happening right now in Tarkov that we should just lightly talk about. Starting actually, we had a couple weeks back, I think it's like a month ago, we had the ARIS event that came out with the new Risey, Chronicles of Risey video, which is very interesting and basically I think started the season of events that we are seeing right now. It was also kind of a new event because there was like some things involved that weren't in the game itself per se, but we actually had to go to the ARS like terminal. There was things to be done in real life. It was really cool to see people like Nice Guy just grabbing all these interesting people together to try and solve the issue and see what it would do. And I think it led also to the second video of Risey, which led to the event in the game that we have right now with Sanitar. But we'll touch a little bit on that later. I think the one thing that we have to cover today, of course, is the Q&A video that we have had Pestily do with Mr. Nikita himself. Turbo, did you see it? Anything that we should talk about right now?
Oh yeah, there was definitely some sweet news there. One of the most interesting, perhaps, for everyone, because I know that we're all waiting for Streets to be released.
Yes, 100%, my man. We're waiting on that.
Yeah. So the Streets are definitely coming this year with the next big patch. I'm assuming we can also expect wipe with it, but Nikita didn't mention it, so that's just a lucky guess, I suppose. But with the next major patch, the first iteration of Streets will come out. Nice. And it's going to be very immersive. To paraphrase what Nikita said, we're gonna feel like we're actually there, with all the buildings breaking down and all that stuff happening around. We're gonna feel the heat of the bullets. And another thing that is going to come with the next big patch, which again we could guess that it's going to be on the Streets, is going to be a new boss. And obviously some new weapons as well, which are pretty standard with every big patch. But this time, something that we've all, well, a lot of people have been waiting for, which is underbarrel grenade launchers.
Oh.
Oh
And
man.
yeah,
I'm
and suddenly,
actually waiting more for the AUG. I think we have seen that teased, right? Is that correct?
yeah,
Yeah,
that was
Yeah.
I'm really waiting on that one. I think that will be super interesting. And personally, I've been waiting for the SR2 for Resk to be added in the game ever since they posted a YouTube video. And this is like, I think 4 or 5 years ago. They made like a video on YouTube and they showed how they were recording the sounds that gun make in game. And they had an SR2 and they were recording how the SR2 reloaded or something or shot in game. And from that day, I've been like, oh, we're gonna get the SR2. But now, well, fast forward 4 years later, it's still not in the game. But we finally saw some teasers over the last couple months. So I hope to God that the SR2 will be finally added to the game. I think it might be a very interesting gun because it will give us another use for the BT ammo, the 9x21 caliber, that currently only is being used by the Shrimp. I think it's one of the only rounds that has seen almost 0 changes to it. But it could potentially be a really strong SMG, so I think it could be super interesting to see if that will work, and I'm waiting on that for sure.
Well, I don't have specific news regarding this gun.
I
But,
know.
you know, but
We don't-
Nikita said that there's a lot of guns
Yeah,
coming.
I just hope.
Pray to the Tarkov gods.
Nikita,
So
please.
another important thing that is going to come with the new big patch is the new grouping system that is going to work as many people want it to outside of the raid lobby itself. So you can browse your stash, go to your hideout while you're still in a group, and you don't have to just wait aimlessly. And this, I think, is a huge quality of life upgrade.
Oh yeah,
or will be when it comes.
Absolutely.
yeah. I'm really waiting for that. I think that will make, or us team players, it will just make it so much smoother to queue up, to like get ready, all that shit. So very happy with that.
Yeah, I'm really happy for that as well. And speaking of hideout, we're going to get some expansions to the hideout as well with that next big patch. But that's basically it about what's coming with the next update. But another thing that we've all been waiting for is definitely Arena.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
what causes the delay, because we've been expecting it to actually go to testing some months ago, right? But
Yes.
Nikita mentioned that the game is already, Arena is being worked on by an external team, and the basic team versus team game mode is ready and done. And the game is being delayed because of them wanting to upgrade on effects and crowds and realism and the immersiveness of the arena mode or arena game. So they just want to make it tip top perfect before they go with it into testing or the first iteration release.
Nice.
Yep.
I saw someone in chat says I still won't give up hope for PvE co-op mode. I think
Yeah.
I think Nikita
Yeah.
mentioned something about co-op mode being upgraded in terms of AI that you could like turn off on, and some other variables that could be turned on and off. I think
Yes.
it's maybe overlooked, but that could be huge for the people that run events and tournaments and are like running like custom game modes through the co-op mode. So definitely something that a lot of us has been waiting for as well. I think co-op is a great addition to the game. Makes us being able to fight against friends and all that, but having more parameters and able to like set up even better custom game modes and all that will be huge as well for the game, I think.
And I think this is coming. Nikita said that more customization options
Yeah, exactly.
of the offline co-op are coming with the next update as well. So
yeah, I'm very hyped for that, man. Let's go, man. Let's go.
Oh man.
So a little bit before the Q&A with Pestily, we've seen another Q&A. I think it was on some Chinese forum or website. My apologies if I said that wrong or correctly, but it was Chinese. And the two things that I grabbed for it as well is that something that a lot of us outer sorters have been waiting on is that we're finally getting the ability to pin cases on the top of our stash. which
Oh.
will be like, for all of us that use that button so endlessly, it will be great to finally not having to redo all those cases whenever you click that button. So that's a huge quality of life upgrade as well.
Oh, absolutely, dude. I'm begging for it. I
Yeah.
need it.
And
Need
I
it
then
think
now.
I think we all need it desperately.
yes,
Yeah.
I mean,
sir.
show me one
Oh,
person
man.
that has a nice and tidy stash through the whole wipe, and I won't believe you anyway.
it's just like you have two
Hey, me and
persons,
my
right?
12 apple juices take offense to that.
I think you have two kinds of PMCs right now, right? You have the one that uses the auto sort function and doesn't give anything about it, like it's just auto sort and doesn't matter. And then you have the other one who doesn't use auto sort and just have like a super tidy stash, and they're like manually dragging things from here and there, which is me, by the way. But like you have like two types. There's like no in between, right? Like it's either one of those. But with the tagging of cases or the locking of cases, this will be so much better, in my opinion. That'd be great.
Gotcha. So half your gaming hours are actually just in stash, huh?
Yeah,
Playing Tetris.
I might have 6,000 hours, but like there's definitely a couple hundred playing Tetris and stash. Yes.
100%, 100%. And Ledge, you shouldn't throw stones here because I bet you spent time in stash as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you got me.
No, definitely. All right, last thing, Ledge, did they say anything about armor?
Yeah, actually, they were talking about an armor rework, in particular with the hitboxes, because right now, thorax and stomach, right, those have their own like pre-designed hitboxes. They're gonna actually condense it down, to make it more reflective of what the armor actually covers on the model. I think that's really cool because that could completely tilt the power balance between what's meta versus like flesh damage. And I think that it could even, again, this is just speculation, but it could even lead to maybe a slight ammo reworking as well, because all of a sudden now your rip rounds and whatnot are going to be able to hit people on the side of the chest, maybe the pec, or
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
sure if they actually said that they will iterate that. I'm pretty sure they said something about armor plates being introduced first. So
that
Yeah.
no, well, that was just a general idea, but yeah, they did mention about having armor plates that you can replace, so that once you get zeroed out or super busted up, you could swap out so that you can actually keep on going in the fight.
I think that's going to be really interesting and will potentially like lengthen the amount of fights that we can take in raid, if that means that we can like replenish our armor without having to kill someone and take their armor for it, right? It's going to be
Yeah,
very,
absolutely.
very interesting things that might actually have a bigger impact than we might realize right now. And I'm very looking forward to that.
Oh, I can't wait, man. It's gonna be fantastic.
All right. We're basically what, like 140 days into wipe right now. Is that correct? Something like that. Maybe
Ish.
something like that,
ish.
right?
Yeah.
What's the average level that you guys are seeing of PMCs in raid right now?
I would say that depends on the map, basically. But
Yeah,
Oh, very
yeah.
true.
right on customs, the average level I would say that I see is 20, but everywhere else it's around 40, 50.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd say that's
I-
right. Correct.
I'd
Yeah.
say right about, yeah. Like labs, I rarely see below 40, and I've actually, surprisingly enough, I actually have seen more single-digit levels on customs than I have since the first 3-4 weeks of wipe. I don't know what's up with that, but seen a lot of that too.
Oh, I agree. I've seen that in my customs race as well. Maybe not right now with the Sanitar roaming around
No,
with the
no.
guards, which I've been
yeah.
very enjoying. It's been
Oh, absolutely.
it's cool to have a quest as well. Like I'm actually having to run a grenade launcher to get something for a quest done. Not
yeah.
something I do on a regular Wednesday evening, right? But now we have to pull it out and all queue customs, and it has led to some absolutely massive, insanely confusing and cluster fights on customs.
I love that it's created just another huge hotspot.
Yeah.
Where everyone, all sides encroaching.
It's what we were waiting and looking for, right? Like something to give us to do, something that brings us together to one specific area of the map that is not necessarily dorms or any other thing. I hope we can continue these events like this. I think it will bring a lot of activity to the player base right now. It's a very good thing. I'm happy with it.
Absolutely, I love the fun factor that comes with it too.
So looking,
I have a newfound respect for everyone who kills Sanitar with all those weapons.
Yeah,
Oh,
especially the grenade ones and the melee ones. Like, oof.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Definitely
like,
not easy.
I mean, I've seen before people meleeing Killa 100 times to get the tracksuit, but then again, Killa doesn't have bodyguards, right? So when you
Yeah.
cut that distance, it's just you and versus him.
Yeah.
But with Sanitar doing that with a melee,
There's always a guard
Pure
sitting
respect.
somewhere, just laser beaming you as soon as you run into
Oh,
the
yeah.
proximity of the fortress. Man, it's not easy. All right. We've seen a lot of events over the last couple wipes as well. What were you guys' previous favorite events?
Oh, mine was absolutely my favorite event was the both of the all bosses on a single map events. The
Oh
one on
yeah,
reserve,
reserve, man. Oof.
the reserve was absolutely
That was
wild.
madness.
Absolutely
Or on the
love that.
surface again instead of bear hugging the power switch in D2.
Yeah.
It was amazing, and the customs one was super fun as well, just because the flow of the map can go in any direction at almost any time. It
Yeah.
was so
Yeah,
exciting.
Literally
I
you
agree
were
with
fighting at
Reserve.
bridge, right? Like every time because of Sermon being
Yeah.
there. And I think every event that brings us to places that we normally don't fight anymore in at this point of the wipe is a success, because everyone loves a fight in a crazy, strange area and then gets shot down by Sturman anyway, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
classic Targo.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Gotta be careful
would,
of armed bushes.
I would expect that we're gonna get another all bosses on the single map event, but on a
Oh, I
different
hope
map.
so.
Then like not a map that has been covered before.
Yeah, perhaps Lighthouse?
Yeah, Lighthouse, Shoreline,
Oh,
Woods.
please,
Yeah.
please let it be Lighthouse.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Just imagine for a second all bosses on Factory.
All bosses on Factory. You wanna?
Ooh,
That's a money sink, dude.
I don't-
Like,
yeah.
I'm not sure
Oh,
about
man.
how I feel about that one. All right,
Oh,
I think
man.
that covers most of the things that we've heard like the last couple of weeks that were important to mention today. How about we jump into the actual educational topic, boys?
Yeah, let's do
Are you
it.
guys
Yeah,
ready for
let's-
some grenade action?
Yeah, let's
Oh.
jump straight into a grenade.
Let's go.
All
Oh
right.
no, let's not do that. But here we go anyway. All right, boys. Welcome to the educational topic of today. We will be talking about grenades and how to use them and everything about them, basically. So, the first thing that we start with, actually, like, I'm pretty sure that everyone will be interested in what we're going to talk about today. We'll talk about the different nades, meaning frag nades, stun nades, smoke nades, damage from nades, how to use the nades, and some grenade tips and best practices. And for some of the things that we will be talking about today, we actually prepared some clips as well. So we'll have some clips and we'll talk over them, and we'll show you guys how you can use them and learn from those clips, perhaps. Yeah. So let's go. What kind of grenades do you have? Basically, there's a lot of various grenades, and every nade has a different usage, utilization, or fuse time. So just to list them from long to short fuse, the M67, RGD5, the F1, the Volk grenades, Fox 17 and 25, and then the impact nades, RGO and RGD nades. Of course, everyone knows them. F1 grenade, probably the most used nade that there is in Tarkov, together with the RGD5, I'd say. It's like the nade I always bring with me myself. They have like a quite average use time. They have like they're just the most normal nades, so to say, right? And definitely the one that is a bit lesser used is the M67, which is quite a good nade, but because of the long fuse time, it's not as useful in most situations. It has a very specific utilization.
Yeah, very situational.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later. But the regular nade you'll run into is probably the F1 or the RGD, right? And then the more specialized nades is obviously the Volk 17 and 25 nades. They do a lot of damage. They have a very short fuse time, and they're very made basically to just throw on people, so there's no time to escape from them. And kind of newly added, of course, to the game is the impact nades, that are probably the pinnacle of nades and the most hated nades in the game as well, for a big degree.
No.
And rightfully so,
No,
because
yeah.
like there's just no counterplay to grenades that are impact nades, right? Like it's very hard to dodge or to duck away from an impact nade.
No, yeah.
that's it for the fragmentation nades. We'll go into them a little bit more in depth in a little bit, but let's cover a different strategy first, or category: stun grenades.
Yeah, so we've got two kinds of stun grenades in the game: the old one, Zarya grenade, and the new one, M7290, or how everyone else calls it, the new stun grenade. So flashbang grenades basically blind and deafen your enemy for a moment. How long does that moment last? It depends on what distance the enemy is from the grenade when it explodes, and which grenade you use, and also if they are wearing any sort of protective gear like glasses or condors, or the whichever glasses they can use.
Yeah.
Also, the new grenade, the new flashbang grenade M7290, has a bit of a shorter explosion delay, so it's better to throw it closer. But both of them have a pretty short delay. Zarya has 2 seconds, and the new one has 1.5 seconds of the explosion delay, so they explode pretty quickly. So you also need to be aware of that and not flashbang yourself accidentally.
I've definitely done that before.
Yeah,
Guilty.
I think we've all done that.
Yeah.
And of course, you also have the quest to kill 2 PMCs blinded by flash grenades, which can be tricky. But you can use that, what we just said. So when they flashbang themselves accidentally,
You can kill them as well,
and
and it counts.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, exactly, it works.
Nice.
And I find that this is a subject that we will cover in a greater detail later. But I think that flash grenades are perfect to use against AI.
Oh yeah, for sure.
When you want to draw them out or learn if they are there, because it's less of a waste than a regular grenade, I would say, maybe.
Oh, they're cheap.
So,
You can get them.
yeah.
Like you can just bring some flash nades. It won't do you any damage. It's like a couple thousand
exactly.
rubles, right? I
Absolutely.
definitely agree with that.
Yeah,
Right.
so I'd rather save up, a regular grenade for later, and just waste flashbang than the other way around.
Oh, for sure. You want to keep the
Oh,
nades
yeah.
for PMCs and tricky situations, right?
Yep.
All right. Let's continue to the last category of nades, which of course will be smoke grenades. Ledge, can you cover this shortly, please?
Yeah, so in the game we have 2 separate nades. We have the M18 green smoke and the RGD 2 Bravo. Now, they function just like you think they would. You toss the nade, after a few seconds, it'll smoke up the area. You won't be able to actually see it, which you can use that block your line of sight from the enemy, make a hallway or a doorway more dangerous, less certain for a push. It can even prevent you from shooting people in the head when they're looking at stuff, and you can even throw it on an airdrop if you manage to get to one, so it can give you that nice bit of cover in the time you need to get through all that and get all your juicy LEDXs and slick plates out of the drop that you can. So
oh yeah, I think that's like the only time I use smoke grenades myself, are for that reason. Like I want to throw them on the airdrop
absolutely.
and like hope that I don't get shot through it.
Yeah, in fact I like bringing a regular smoke grenade with me when I'm doing like teaching like new players, because they might not be quite as confident in a fight, let's say at dorms. So I actually try to smoke off the hallway so that we can retreat and get to a better location.
It's definitely
just
not
to
something that
refocus
you see being used every day. I hope perhaps in arena we will see a greater use for it, or streets perhaps even, we don't know, but it's an interesting thing.
I think we will.
Not being very very often used there.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah, most of the time I see it, people just chuck it to chuck it.
All right.
Like that's 2 slots that I could fit, like cans of hot rod in or something.
I agree.
That's what I do.
Right. So
yeah. Oh, go on. No, my bad. No.
Sorry. Do you have
go,
anything
bro.
else to add there with the smokes?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually didn't talk about the interaction between like thermal scopes and smokes. So you can actually, when the smoke finally gets out and it's covering the area, not right when it first drops, you actually are going to have a super hard time looking through that with a thermal.
Yeah, That's true. So to contrary belief, but it's kind of a talk of myth that you can look through smokes with a thermal. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't, but I wish that one day it does.
Maybe.
It is what it is. I think it's as Sherpas, one of our jobs is to provide good, clear information, right? That's correct.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yes, I know, Sardak, you could in the past, but not anymore. All right. How do you obtain grenades then? Obviously, there's like various ways to obtain grenades. We'll cover a few of them here. I think the most easy way basically is buying them straight from traders, of course. The F1 and the RGD can be bought from Prepper, and the M67 can be bought from Peacekeeper. So those are the nades that you can buy. But there's also some interesting barters to get more of the other nades. Impact nades cannot be bought directly from traders. You have to barter for them. The RGN with Prepper level 4 and the RGO with Prepper level 4 as well. And Prepper also has barters with energy saving lamps for the F1 and the RGD. And if you want the Volk grenades, you can get them from Mr. Mechanic. So not all of them are very worthy, but I do the energy saving lamp barter myself sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Very similar. You can only buy like 3 nades from each type from Prepper itself. So if you need more nades, you can use the barters to stock up on some more, of course. Definitely keep an eye on those barters. They can save you some money and stock up some more nades. And then
Absolutely.
Besides, like, obviously buying them from traders, doing the barters, you can also craft them in the hideout. So you can craft the Volk grenades, which is probably might be a good way if you're doing like the grenade quest where you need to kill PMCs with nades.
Yeah,
obviously
Grenadier.
the Grenadier, yeah, Volks and impact nades are going to be your best friend for that quest. So it might be worth stocking up on some Volks, and you can craft the RGD grenades as well. And lastly, of course, there's some other ways to get it. You can find them in grenade boxes. Go back to that. There's grenade boxes that are like a container in the game. You can find them everywhere on every map, basically. Loot them, and everything, every type of nade could be in that one. You can find them in raid itself, or on AI, on scavs and pockets, but especially on rogues, on raiders, on boss guards. They very often have like 1 or 2 nades in their pockets. It used to be a lot of them, but they recently changed that, I think a wipe ago, so that they're not spawning anymore with like 4 or 5 nades. So I think the maximum is like 2 nades right now, which is definitely a lot better and balanced, I'd say. You don't get out of a reserve raid with like 20 nades anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
I remember the grenade case runs.
Oh yeah, man, that was
man.
not balanced.
Different times, man. Different times.
For sure.
I would say that having a high scav karma also helps with that, because when you do that, when you have a high scav karma, your scav very often spawns with at least 1 grenade, and quite often with 2 as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Good point. All right. I think we got to the more important part now. Latch, take it away. How does damage from nades work?
Oh, damage for nades. Where do I even begin, man? So whenever a grenade goes off, it has its explosion delay first, and then it goes boom. And when that fuse goes off, that explosion, it has a radius with a minimum and maximum radius. We're gonna call that the impact area. And if you're in that area when the grenade goes off, you will most certainly, definitely die. And once you get beyond that actual radius, there's additionally fragments that shoot out from the explosion, and the amount of damage dealt by each fragment and the amount of fragments differentiate between each nade. So the shrapnel of the grenades act like bullets when they shoot out all around in a cone, and they can even bounce off walls and deflect. Each fragment also has its own ballistic stats, just like any other bullet in the game, such as fragmentation chance, projectile speed, damage, penetration power, armor damage, light, and heavy bleeds. So there's a whole lot of stuff that goes into it. That's why, sometimes you'd be like, oh my god, I only have my chest left, but I'm good.
Yep.
Being a happy little nugget that, hurt but still alive. But yeah, that's how kind of the breakdown of the damage works. Actually, so now that we know how the damage works, the radius and everything. Seikosha, could we talk a little bit about the different uses and utility pieces?
Oh yeah, I think it's very important that, like, if you know how a nade works, if someone thinks of a nade, they'll think of like, okay, I have a nade, there's a person in that room, I'll throw the nade in and they'll die because of it, right? But in my opinion, grenades have so much more uses than just being used as a weapon. If I look at myself, I bring in 3 or 4 nades every raid, and I don't think my average amount of nade kills is like 1 every 10 raids, perhaps. Like, but nades are so important for team play, for all kinds of uses. So let's get into that. Starting, of course, is what I've just discussed. You can use it as a weapon. You can throw it in a room where someone is in. You can throw it behind a rock if they're behind cover. You can just throw the nade at the area where your opponent is in, and you can just like throw it up there, kill them with it. And of course, the impact nades and the Volk grenades are the best, both because of the impact time. Like they have no chance to run away from it, of course. So if you're really gonna be bringing in nades to kill people with it, I would advise bringing Volks and impact nades over any other nades. But you can still, of course, use F1s or RGDs, but you have to remind that they have a little bit of a longer use time, and that the opponent might have the opportunity to run away from them. So you can use that in your mind as well to throw your nade. Like, if you're really smart, you can not throw it straight on them, but like if they're running, for example, you throw it like in front of them, basically like having them run into the nade, for example. So
yeah, lead you to throw.
Be aware what kind of nade you bring into raids. Be aware what kind of nades you're gonna throw right now. It used to be that you could actually like basically categorize your nades, so the first one in your pocket would be picked first, the last one would be last. That's not how it works anymore, but cheeky tip is that you can actually use the numpad to like put a number on your nade. So for example, if you bring like 1 impact nade or 1 Volk grenade, you can use like the number 8 or the number 9 to grab that nade out of your pocket instead of a random one. Which can be very useful if there's a certain situation that you want a certain nade in without having to go to your inventory and grab that one out, right? I think way more important than using nades, and this is where we can actually, I hope we can tell you guys something. One of the better utilizations of nade is definitely movement, right?
100%.
Oh yeah,
Turbo,
no
Mr.
doubt.
Movement, take it away.
100%. Basically, 2 situations if we categorize it that way. Either when you want to move yourself into an area, or you want your opponent to move into an area, right? So you're holed up in a room or somewhere, and you want to clear an area to which you want to proceed, so you get a better angle, or you're not pinned down anymore. So you throw a nade there first. Always try to stay behind cover while you throw the grenade as much as you can, but throw the nade there first. And if anyone is in that area, they will have a choice either to push out, run away, or stay there and die. And any of those 3 should clear the area for you and give you an advantage. In the same way, if you want to make your opponent move from the area they are in, if you throw a grenade there, well, again, they have the same choice. Either they move away or they stay there and die. And if they move, you can use that to your advantage by shooting them while they move.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's how you use movement with grenades.
Yeah, I
But
actually I think we have a clip like that that combines these 2 things that we've just spoken about. Shall we take a look at
very
that clip?
well.
Yeah, let's
Definitely.
see it.
All right. Let's start with a clip of myself today. I have a lot of other clips as well, but let's start with this one of myself. Put it up here, boys. There we go. So to give some background, I'm with my duo, so there's 2 of us. And we're fighting another duo, and they're both sat on the bathroom on 2nd floor that leads to the stairway on our left. We know that they're in there around that area, but they won't really necessarily move. I'm right next to my teammate here, and I make the quick call to go out and nade them. So we'll play it, and then we'll talk over it a little bit.
Oh, I love the window jumps, by the way. Oh. What a throw!
So we used it as a weapon here, of course, because they both didn't move and we killed them with the nades. But there's a little bit more that goes into it. Like, if you go back here a little bit, like, they're basically in the toilet, which means that there's two ways they could potentially go. Or actually two scenarios that could play out. Scenario one is I throw the nade in there, they're staying there and they're gonna die because of the nade, right? Like, they have nowhere to go in that little room. Like, the chances of them surviving on that nade is slight to zero. My teammate is actually in the hallway on the left, so the only other scenario that they have right here is they're running out, right? And if they run out to the stairs, that's where I am. And if they run out to the hallway, that's where my teammate is. So basically, by staying in that room and me having to throw that nade in, that gives us such an advantageous position. Like, either situation, they stay in, they die. They run down on the stairs, I can hear them and shoot at them. They run in the hallway, my teammate got that covered and can shoot at them. Like, there's... The grenade here wasn't per se meant to kill them in that room. It's great that it happened. But the actual point is to create a situation to actually just win the play either way. Like, there's no way they could potentially win this in theory, of course. And that's the kind of thing that we want to teach today. Like, just throw the nade and, like, you're forcing people in a situation that you will win and that's advantageous for you. Instead of just waiting in the hallway for them to, like, make a play, run out, flank themselves. And that's what we're trying to teach today. So this is what we're trying to teach about movement. Use the nades to force people in or out of a situation that you can control and you can win, which makes it very easy.
Force your enemies to make a mistake. That's the best way to win.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Another utilization of nades is definitely a very important one if you're more of a little bit of an aggressive player, I'd say. But I think it goes for everyone. Yeah, go on.
Absolutely. So aside from the the lethal effect of fragmentation grenades and really any nade, is using the explosion delay to your advantage. Whether you have the short fused Vogs or the very long fuse on the M67. In fact, as a solo player, my grenades act as my wingman. They're my angle holder, so that I can move in and out of where I want to be. So by putting a grenade out, for example, the M67, out into an area, you could actually use that because the opponent, at first glance, will probably not know that you just throw an M67 instead of an F1.
Oh, definitely. They won't expect it.
Oh yeah, no, it's a good switch up. In fact, I like to put in an M67, F1, M67 to help switch it up. But during that time delay, you can actually run right over the top of your grenade and get just far away of it. But your opponent is going to be holding that angle, thinking, "Wow, this guy's crazy. He's going to blow up." And while they're not expecting it, then you can rush in and get in that surprise push and give you the element of surprise, and you can drop the guy and get on with the rest of your raid. So, and there's even more utility to it. That's probably the most important for me, especially as a solo player. So those of you who play solo and don't bring nades, I'd recommend you start giving yourself that one up and bringing a few in.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Actually, Seikosha, could you actually run us down next over another fantastic utility that we get out of nades?
Let's start with a clip where someone pushes with a nade first. How about that?
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah. Let's see it.
So we have a clip from Hardiu. Hardiu is in the Sherpahub, and he sent us this clip from where he uses a flashbang, which is actually interesting because we haven't really discussed that yet. But he throws the flashbang, but I don't think the opponent knows that it is a flashbang. So that's another quick tip before we go forward. Like, if you throw something, your opponent is most likely gonna reply on that, being it innate. As a helpful memory even. Yeah. So let's see how he uses the flashbang in his advantage here to push up a little bit, shall we? He's in the bunker. There's a guy to his right, like near the power button where you draw the power. And let's see how this plays out.
Oh my god. What
All
a
right.
play! Oh my goodness!
Definitely a good
Love
play.
it.
Well done, Harderu.
The movement. Oh,
What do you think, guys? What did he do so right with this play?
He so right off of getting his audio cues, he bounced that nade right off the front of that panel or wall. I couldn't see which one it actually hit. Right into that hallway, and he instantly utilized that window before where the enemy was thinking, "Wait, what was that?" to get over into an advantageous right hand position. That was insane.
Yeah, I think
Beautiful
Exactly.
movement.
I think the great thing here is like I think he knows, or he's like expecting that player to hold the angle right of the hallway. So what he could do is do a left peek or run past it, but the opponent will give the opponent an opportunity to shoot him, right? So by throwing that nade, even if it's not a nade, it's just a flashbang, right? Like, but the opponent doesn't know that, and the reflex of the opponent, what happens is that he will push back, like, oh, there's a nade, I need to watch out. Like maybe the nade wasn't even close to him, but it doesn't really matter because that
Still gotta
slight
grab that
opportunity makes so that he goes to cover, unpeaks, and that makes the perfect moment for Hardew in this case to actually push up and make the play that he wants. He has a Saiga. He doesn't want some long range fight. He wants to be up close to his opponent and get that push. So let's play it one more time here quickly. And it's like a perfectly executed play with a nade, I'd say right here. Definitely utility.
I love his movement here. It's
Yeah.
beautiful, perfect, and he moves with a purpose too. He's not moving just to move.
Yeah, he knows what he's gonna do straight off the bat, right? I love that. All right. Let's jump into another topic that we have today here. Distraction. I think nades are very underused as a distraction. You could use that in several ways actually. But grenades make a lot of sound actually. And your opponent cannot hear very well what you're doing if you throw a nade, right? Like the explosion, the nade, it makes sound, it makes noise. It's a visual effect, right? So if you want to, for example, you're stuck in a room, you can throw the nade so that you can jump out, and the opponent like is not as good able to pick up on that sound cue to respond on it because there's a nade going off, right?
Oh yeah.
So I think that's a very important thing. Like if you just want something to happen, throw a nade, and you can like basically use that the sound that you want to make. You can block that off, like being it healing, being it jumping out, being it your teammate flanking. So what I very often do with some of my teammates is that my teammate is in some different position. I will throw a nade, and the guy is just focused on me and the nade that I'm throwing. But I'm just gonna stay still, but my teammate is going to move up on the nade, which makes it so that they will not expect the new position of my teammate, and basically it gives such an advantage to be in an area that they cannot completely know or hear where they are. So distraction, very well or good use of a nade. Something else that I definitely do sometimes. Sometimes I just throw a nade in a random direction, right? Maybe I know there's someone in the bush. I'm playing woods. I know there's someone in the bush or on a rock, but I don't know exactly where they are. So I'll just throw a nade in a random direction and I wait, and I hope that the opponent will be like, oh, there's a nade there. Let's check it out, right? Or, oh, maybe I have to look at that.
Oh yeah, the uncertainty.
It's literally a bait, basically. You're just trying to use it as a distraction to have them look the other way, maybe have them move, reposition, and if they don't do anything because of it, that's fine too. I mean, it's only a nade that you lost, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, I agree, man. Like that uncertainty that you introduce to the opponent, like
Yeah.
that alone can throw them off their game.
Oh, definitely.
A little bit, you know.
And it works as well if you want people to push you. So if you need dorm skills or you're trying to do a quest somewhere, like throw some nades, because nades will make a sound that will reach very far, and it could potentially mean that other players that are looking for that PvP or PMC kills or wanting some action will be drawn into you, and you can set up an ambush or wait for them to push. So it's definitely something that can be used as a distraction or in the way that you want it, of course, very well. All right. One of the most, I'd say, useful uses of nades is actually not for PvP or situations, but it's against AI. Turbo.
That is correct, and that is one of my favorite ways to use grenades. So, for example, perfect example is Reshala. When you want to check if the boss and his goons are there, you can throw grenades into new gas station on customs, and they will react, and you can tell but by that reaction if they are there, and you can even, with practice, you can tell if that's just random scavs or in fact Reshala and the boys. What's more, you don't only learn that they are there, but you can also make them move in the direction you want them to go. So we've got a clip that we're going to show you in a second, but you can use those grenades, be it regular grenades or flashbangs or whatever. You can throw them in where the AI is and make them run away from them or towards you, so you have an easy.
Turbo, you still there?
I think Turbo cut out there.
No, I think we
Oh,
lost
no.
him. No.
We lost Turbo live on stream.
Oh man, F in chat for our boy Turbo, please.
F in chat, boys.
Oh
F in chat.
man.
Wait.
Oh,
Still here.
Oh, he's
welcome
alive.
back.
Okay. What do you mean? Link Apple.
Mike, test.
Ye-
Oh yeah, there he goes again.
Oh no.
I think you can post it again, Senpai.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
We'll give him a few seconds.
Yeah, let's give him a few seconds to to come back
before
again.
we move on.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yes,
Yeah,
we can,
you're
sir.
loud and clear,
Okay.
brother.
So I think my internet might be going off, but I think I managed to finish about AI. So I think this is the time for the clip now.
All right. Did you touch on Killa? Okay, I guess Turbo has to have some internet issues. It has been said in chat as well. A great use for those that want to hunt Killa, either for the quest itself, just for fun, or for the tracksuit quest. AI will respond to flashbangs as well. So it's super interesting to use flashbangs and throw them in directions where Killa could potentially be. And if he replies on it, you know that he's there and you can set up for that. If he's not there, it saves you the time of jumping there. We see a lot of people that got tracksuit use, like bring like 2 or 3 Zarya nades to like throw them towards Oli, Goshen, or maybe like ID, I think in the diner area, to like save time but also gain information on if Interchange is there. I think you can use that in different situations as well. Like any kind of AI will respond to flashbangs as well as to nades.
Absolutely. I always bring a few with me to Lighthouse, especially for the Lighthouse expansion area and for the insides of the warehouses. Like I always have a flashbang because they're much quieter than frags, and it'll also tell me where the rogues are sitting around and which corner I need to mag dump into.
Definitely, man. We have a great clip here from Parents, ex Sherpa and helpful number, and I think it's the perfect example of how you can use nades in your advantage against AI. Let's pull that on full screen. He's at gas here right now. New gas on customs. I think he has heard something at the back, so he probably knows that Reshala is here. He has an RFB with a scope, so I am assuming that he doesn't want to like push Reshala. So he's gonna use the nade perfectly here to basically make the AI move in a position, or like he doesn't know where they're going to, but it turns out great for him. He's throwing the nade over, gains information, and let's just play it out.
Oh, that was a beautiful underhand.
Yes, sir.
No way. Was that all of them? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was all of them. We'll play. This is like the most easy way to clean Reshala. He throws the nade, he holds an angle, and they're basically just lining him up to shoot him right away. Like it's
they aggro straight.
It's super simple if you look at it. But honestly, I think this is a great way of AI usage. Like he's not gonna push them, but instead use the nades to have them move into his angle and aim, so he can just pop them off in the head straight away without having like any sort of trouble with it actually. really good play. If they didn't run into them, that would have been okay as well, because at least he gained information, like they're moving, they're shouting, they're giving him
Audio
information.
cues, man.
Audio cues, super important. So he could have like gone to another position, like, okay, they're there now, I can move to this position and pick them from there. So this is the kind of nades that you want to throw to safely kill AI without having to push Rashala and his guards with an RP, which is not ideal, I'd say. So great clip from Parents. Thank you, my man.
Absolutely. Oh, Turbo, I think I saw you flicker. Are you back?
I'm back and then I'm gone again. It's
Yeah. Hey, we'll work with it, brother.
I think Turbo is having some real desync right now.
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties.
If anyone ever lives in Poland, hit me up. I can tell you which internet provider not to get.
Okay. All right, let's go over some tips and tricks, because I think we've covered most of the uses of nades right now, but I think there's a lot of other things that we as Sherpas thought would be good situations and tips and tricks, best practices to use with nades, situations you maybe haven't thought about. I'll start myself. You could actually bounce grenades off walls, like kind of CSGO style. There's some certain areas that bounce nades off in areas. And of course, by throwing it at a wall, that also makes it so that you don't have to completely step out of cover, throw a nade. So definitely try out, maybe in co-op or in live raids, throw some nades at walls and see where they lead, because they will bounce off the wall and reach like further or reach different areas, which could be very surprising to your opponent, because they're just gonna see that nade flying.
Absolutely.
And there's actually one situation or place in reserve where I always throw the same nade on the same spot, and it leads super far, but I couldn't find the clip anymore.
Which part?
Out
of curiosity,
it's in D2 when you go up on White Pawn stairs. So you go from the D2 area to White Pawn. You have like the bunker door, and if you have the hallway to the right, at the end of the right is the stairway to D2.
Okay. Do you bounce it off that angled?
From the angled thingy, you can throw it on there, and it actually goes completely at the end at the stairs.
That's beautiful.
And they will never see it coming. They will never see you coming. It's like it's an insanely crazy nade, and I've killed so many people with that. And it's a little bit of map knowledge. It's a little bit of just trying it out, because I've definitely thrown 20 nades in that area before, like randomly throwing one against the wall and like, wait a second, that's gonna reach very far. That's super useful. So I definitely challenge you guys to go into dorms or reserve or shoreline and resort and try out some different random nades. And that's definitely something that you can use to surprise your opponent and get an actual kill with a nade that they will definitely call you a cheater for. All right. Do you have any advice for dodging nades?
Yeah, definitely. Some of the nades, as we mentioned before, it's very hard to avoid getting hit by an impact nade because of their explosion delay being 0. So that's kind of hard to dodge. But any other grenade, you still have a chance. Vogs will be harder because their fuse is very short as well. But if a grenade lands next to you, don't give up already. Just try to dodge it, run away from the radius of its fire, and you can save yourself. You can maybe get some damage towards some of the limbs, but not die, and that is the crucial part, because as long as you're alive, you have a chance. I would say that the best direction to dodge the grenade is where it came from, because that way the grenade, after you pass it in air, it will be rolling away from you. Although there's obviously the question of the guy who threw the grenade being there.
Oh yeah,
but, yeah.
Well, I think also
that's just directional.
It's important to know that I think 9 out of 10 times you'll die with a nade because it got your head to 0 hit points, right? So if you're in a really messed up situation with a nade, try to get your head as far away from the nade explosion as you can be, because that will be like the least amount of hit points, so the easiest way you die. So it doesn't really matter where, but just get your head down as far away as possible from the nade explosion.
Yes, definitely. So like, if you're prone, stand up, turn
Turn around. I think
Oh,
Turbo is having
no.
some issues
Oh,
already.
no.
Oh no.
Oh, he's gone again.
Uh,
It's actually perfect that he
okay.
mentioned going prone.
Yes,
Um,
he's going prone
I'll,
himself
I'll
for
actually
real.
just build off of that. So guys, when you are out there, and let's say you've got someone in the next room, in the hallway, someone nearby, right, with an earshot. Uh, if they have any openings in the walls, the windows, the doorway to toss a nade, you should 100% avoid going prone if they can hear you. For example, if I hear you hit that floor, that that iconic like thud, I'm gonna immediately
pull out a nade, throw it that
I'm
way.
gonna capitalize on it. I'm gonna put a nade on you because I know you've got at least a second and a half of that fuse time where you're still standing up and trying to move.
Yeah. We actually have a good clip to show
Oh,
what you
yeah.
should not be doing, being sent in from a Reflex 66. So Reflex, thank you. Let's pull it up right here. There we go. Clip from Mr. Reflex on being on labs, and
Ooh,
let's just
labs
see how
player.
it plays out for him.
Oh no, the heal animation.
Uh-oh.
Oh. Yep.
Yep.
Oh, I saw it coming from a mile away.
Classic.
Oh, dude, as soon as he pulled out that med kit, I was like, no, no.
All right, so there's a few things that we can actually, let's break this clip down a little bit, right?
Absolutely.
The moment that nade lands right in front of his face
Oh
is
yeah,
just perfect.
It's like...
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit delayed compared to you guys.
It's okay, it's okay. So let's break it down. He runs out in the open. He gets shot. He doesn't know exactly where from. He knows the direction, right? He instantly goes prone. What do you think he did right, and what do you think he did wrong there, Legend Turbo?
First off, going prone right there, that was actually really good right off the bat, and not necessarily a terrible idea because he had that cover to keep the shots from whizzing into his face. So good on him. But his biggest mistake was that after he chucked that nade, right, he backed up a little bit, went prone again, and then he pulled out his med kit, right? So the reason that the second part of that was where I think he really fell short, because when you pull out a med kit while going prone, you can't actually get out of the animation and stand up. You have to finish it or animation cancel. So literally, it's like, hey guys, I'm here.
Yep.
But yeah,
it gives,
what about? Oh, sorry.
Gives the opportunity to just die to a nade, right?
Lost him again.
But what I think he did well is he instantly pulled out a nade himself and threw it in the direction where he thought the opponent would be.
Absolutely.
Which actually brings the situation a little bit more in his opportunity or situation, because that gives him potentially the time to escape from his horrible positioning prone in the open there. So
absolutely,
I think this could have been a completely different fight if he threw the nade, stood up, shot the glass behind him and dropped down or something, or ran to a direction. Like, it could have gave him the opportunity to escape there. But he decides to focus on his thorax. Obviously, it's being shot 2 times, so I understand that as well. You want to heal that thorax up. It just ends up very unfortunate in this situation. Let's run it down one more time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I would just say that what he did wrong is he chose a bad place to heal himself.
Yeah.
Run away first,
right
heal yourself
here,
later.
That's where he should have gotten up and capitalized on the time and the utility that he gets out of it.
He would have had time. Yep, there it is.
Locked his position, and he did it again. You see right there. He tried to pull out the med kit. He couldn't cancel out and get up.
Yeah. And there's another thing I didn't really notice that the first time, but he actually gives information to his teammate by, like, there is something that's shooting me on my nade. So he's using the nade as well to, like, give a more pinpointed location to the one that he's playing with. Like, there's an opponent somewhere on my nade without having to call out exactly where it is, hoping that his teammate could, like, look at that direction where the nade goes off.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very interesting clip, I'd say, right there. All right. Next up, we have something else. I'm not sure what we say. Yeah, using nades as a solo. I think if you're a solo player, you would notice as well, Ledge, especially after a patch, it's not as easy to use nades anymore, since
No.
you have to pull the nade out. It takes some time. You have to throw it. You have to put it back, get up your gun back, and there's actually quite some delay of you not being able to shoot your opponent, right?
Yep.
Which makes it, you have to be very aware of when you throw nades and where you throw nades, and how much time it takes the opponent to get to you. Because if you will close someone as a solo too close to your opponent, they'll just hear the nade being pulled and they push you, and you have nothing against them, because you can throw the nade or you cannot and try to get back to your gun, but either way, the chances of you winning that with that nade just standing awkwardly staring at your opponent is gonna be very low. So I would say watch out, make sure there's cover, make sure there's enough distance between you and the opponent that you're trying to nade. On the other hand, you could use this in your advantage as well. You're fighting someone very CQB, and you hear them pull that nade out, and you can decide in a split second, you have to be fast though, to push him on that, because that will give you such an opportunity. Like, you have the potentially the situation where you're just pushing your opponent and he's just standing there with the nade in his hand, and that could be an easy kill. We have a clip for that as well to show as an example of how to use a nade as a solo, and I think we have it right here. Oh, let's put that on the full screen. Hold on. This is Fuzzy, another ex Sherpa. So Fuzzy, thank you for the clip.
Fuzzy.
Yes, yes.
Ooh, the cheeky bait lane. Ooh.
So there it is. It's actually a very simple short clip, but he exchanges some shots, and he just hears that very faint, but he hears the nade cling, like cling, and like the moment he hears that, he's like, okay, it's only like a 1-2 second run to my opponent. That gives me plenty enough time to push him and shoot him before he even throws the nade. And that's exactly what happens. He just meets his opponent, just looking at him, trying to move backwards, but it's not turning out very well for him. So let's play it again. You hear the nades.
Right there.
Yep.
That's perfect. That's exactly how you should capitalize on those sound cues. It's a little different if you have more than one person, but
oh yeah, definitely.
A single target. Oh, dude.
If there's two of them here, you can communicate that you're gonna throw that nade to your teammate, and just the other one holds the angle so that you can safely pull out the nade, throw it, get back to your gun. In that situation, if the opponent decides to push on the nade, hopefully your teammate be ready for that situation and can just shoot him straight away. So as a duo, you definitely have a lot more grenade opportunity, I'd say. As a solo, you have to watch out a little bit more. Be aware how far it is to your opponent. What this guy could have done is move backwards more towards the hallway, the L-shaped hallway, and throw it from there, bounce it off the wall, which would have given him, like Fuzzy, not the opportunity to push him, because he has more space or distance between him and his opponent. But could throw the nade, and in case Fuzzy decides to push, he's like at least ready with his gun up, which makes it a fair fight in that situation. So very good clip from Mr. Fuzzy from this point. Thank you, my man. All right,
Thank you, Fuzzy.
More tips, Turbo? Are you here? Are you with us?
I don't know. Am I?
It looks like it.
Sounds like it to me, man.
Another, it's a good thing about this clip now, because another thing that we can tell you about tips and tricks. What the guy could have done as well was to fake the grenade throw. Instead of throwing the grenade, just hide it and pull out his gun again. So the sound would be there to tempt the opponent into pushing. But instead of throwing the grenade, the guy brings up his gun and kills the pushing opponent.
Oh yeah, that's called like a fake grenade or a bait.
Yeah, exactly. So that's another thing that you can always consider, trying to back out from the grenade throw and pulling out your gun instead and shooting the person who gets tempted.
We actually have a clip for that as well. Again by Mr. Fuzzy. Thank you, Fuzzy. I'm just gonna play it out. He pulls a nade, he puts it back, but the opponent already decided to push on that nade cue. And Fuzzy is just ready for it and just obliterates his opponent. So let's take a look. Fighting in dorms again. pulls out the nade, puts it back in,
Oh, there he goes.
and just literally pre-fires his opponent straight away.
The old switcheroo.
Yeah, let's play it again. This is so perfectly executed. This is like literally playing with your opponent in some sense, to have him push, and be prepared for it, because his opponent thinks like, oh, he has a nade out, I can push him, will be an easy kill, but the opposite thing happens. So
Absolutely. This right here, the second he hears those first two footsteps,
Yeah.
he knows he's got him.
Yep.
Middle of the hallway, no
Yeah.
cover, and those doors don't do almost anything for you.
no,
They'll
you
go
can
right
shoot
through 'em.
straight through him as well. Yeah, and he's pre-firing. He knows where his opponent gonna be. So he played. This is a perfectly executed bait nade. And I think the nade here is being just as useful by just pulling it out alone, than or probably would have done even more. Like if he just threw it that direction, the opponent probably just would have gone down the stairs and just moved back up. It would have not gained him anything. Playing it like this made him in a very good position and play. So definitely a little bit more of an advanced thing you have to think about, but a great clip nonetheless.
Phenomenal.
All right. Tip number, I don't know what, but another great clip. You have to be aware of strength as well. Your level of strength will actually impact how far you can throw a nade. So if you have max strength, that means that your nades will go further than if you have 0 strength. And you also have to remind that different nades will be thrown different distances. So for example, a Volk grenade, you cannot throw that far. But an M67, for example, I think it's because of the weight of the nade, you can throw an M67 actually super far. I recently got naded being on east roof of resort by someone that was sitting on west roof of resort with an M67. So
Oh yeah,
that's
Well,
how
that's the
far you
throw
can get naded.
That's the throw strength of that thing.
Yes.
It's got the highest throw strength of all the nades.
Yes. Okay, so it's throw strength. So be aware that your strength impacts your nade distance. And also, of course, throwing nades will level your strength a little bit. So just throw some nades, bring some flashbangs. Could be an interesting method to get some extra skill points for the strength skill as well.
Oh, absolutely, man.
Right. We've seen it in one of the clips, Turbo. But there's 2 ways to throw a nade. Are you still here?
Am I? I hope I am.
It sounds good to me, man.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've actually seen that in the clip from parents. This is what we call an underhand throw. So when you right click a grenade, you can throw it much closer than the regular left click throw.
Oh no.
Oh no, I think we're having a very desyncy Turbo right now in the podcast.
Oh dear. He was saying last night that he's been having problems. Oh, I feel that sucks, man.
Am I here?
Yes, you are.
Loud and clear.
Yeah, lovely. So the perfect example of that would be the way Perry threw it before, in that clip we've shown. Another one, when you've got an enemy just across the wall from you.
And he's out again.
And he's out again. Oh no.
Oh dear, we're trying
think,
to get through it.
I think we might have to take over there, Lesh. Can you tell us
Yeah.
something about underhand throws?
Absolutely. I actually
Really
say
sorry about that.
It's okay.
it's okay, man.
I think it's good to have Lesh take over here for a little bit. Turbo, are you okay with that?
Here. Well, we'll see if
Yeah,
we can get you a little more
definitely,
stable.
100%, guys. Feel free to take over. I'll just adorably handsome face.
Absolutely.
I'm fine with that.
Be the pretty one. I love it.
All right.
But yeah.
Lesh, what can you tell us about underhand throws, please?
So with the underhand throws, especially when you're inside, of a tight hallway, or if there's surfaces that you're afraid of bouncing your nade off of a little too hard, it's really useful for getting right over a wall. For example, like on the big wall in customs near construction, the right click, the underhand, is the perfect strength for getting just over the top of it and onto someone's toes.
Definitely.
It also makes it easier to throw underneath objects, like under a truck or a car. Because with the hard throw, it could actually bounce off the ground and hit the underside and get stuck.
Definitely. I think it's very good when you know when a low underhand throw will actually be better than the normal throw. So definitely play around a little bit with the underhand throws, get to know the feeling. Do not sleep on the underhand nades. They can be very lethal, of course.
Oh, yeah.
I think it also goes a little bit into the second point here. But let's start with throwing them in the air actually first.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, dude. Aside from just shooting for the back fence, throwing the nades as far as you can also toss them up and try to get the grenade to explode just over your opponent in the air. A nice little air burst, so to speak. And the real advantage to sending it up high and trying to get it just as close as you can to the end of that explosion delay. They won't be expecting the nade to come out of nowhere. People are usually listening to those audio cues, so they won't have any idea what hit them. And you can also hit people at further distances than you would trying to bounce nade and roll it up close. Um, and speaking of rolling nades in distance, actually Seikosha, don't you? I think you could offer us a little insight on roll distances too.
Yes, so you have to be aware before we go into this clip. Nades will roll. So if you throw a nade in like an open area, be aware that the nade will roll further on its own. So you have to think about that a little bit sometimes, because if you throw it like perfectly fine on your opponent, what will happen sometimes is that the nade will actually roll a little bit further, making your opponent like having to get away from that. So sometimes it's better to like on purpose aim not far enough for your opponent, so that that extra roll will actually make the nade roll towards your opponent. On the other hand, rolling of grenades is very unpredictable. You cannot basically you cannot force it to roll into a certain area or direction. So sometimes, and then we go to the high throwing of nades. Sometimes it's better to actually throw it higher up in the air. Try to think or estimate where your opponent will be in the next amount of time, 3 to 4 seconds, of course, depending on your use time of your nade. Which makes them no ability to go away. And we have a clip for that here from Bas was here. Bas is another Sherpa from Denmark. He sees a guy running here at the end of the wall on interchange, and he decides to throw the nade up very high in the air. And it's perfectly timed because the guy just basically runs straight into the nade without even the nade landing on the ground, so there's no escape. So he's throwing a normal nade here, but like there's literally no escaping this death from the sky. Let's play it. See him running there at the wall.
Oh,
he throws it very high.
Oh my goodness!
Boom.
That's nasty.
Yeah, and you can see here that basically as soon as it drops, like it just instantly explodes, giving the guy like no time whatsoever to reply or run away or dodge it from there. So definitely consider
really
that.
Yeah, there's like no counter. There's no counterplay.
There's no counterplay to this. Yeah, you're right.
Oh man.
And aside from the perfect placement and throw of the nade,
yes,
Bas actually predicted that the guy would still be going left as well.
Yes.
So that's the kind of insight that also helps a lot.
Definitely. I think it's important to try and think a little bit further with nades than where the player is right now, but instead try to think where the opponent will be in when you throw the nade. And if you can change that from, okay, I'm throwing it on him, to I'm gonna throw it where he's gonna be, you will see your amount of nade kills actually very much increase, I'd say.
I agreed, 100%.
All right, we're getting to the end of it a little bit here. We have 2 more clips, or not clips, but 2 more points for you here. Guys, do you have any advice on where not to nade from, or what not to do when you're trying to nade?
Turbo? Oh, I think we lost him again.
Right. I think this is going to be on
no
you,
worries, though. Yeah, I got it, brother. I'm good. So, as far as like nading, right? So when you pull that out, you drop your gun onto your back and you pull it out. So you're not going to be able to respond to any fire coming back to you, and you're going to be very vulnerable. If you are going to be out in the open throwing a grenade, do your best to do it from cover whenever possible. That way you can actually have time to angle upwards right and do some little quick guesstimation on where you want that nade to go. And on top of that, on the receiving end of grenades, particularly flashbangs, something that we haven't really touched a whole heck of a lot on, is that you can actually turn away from the grenade if you can't get away from it in time, and it'll actually negate the flashbang effect. You can still get concussed, but it'll save you your vision, which is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
To
this is definitely something that I don't realize completely before starting to work on this podcast today. Actually, I always thought it wouldn't matter. But you tested it out, Latch. We have a great clip from you that we made especially for the podcast. Let's bring that up here before we go into that. Oopsie. Yeah. Okay. So let's bring that clip up here. This is you throwing some flashbangs, and I think first you'll look straight into it, right?
First I provide some examples, as to how you can actually turn away and the effect that it has. And then one of if you don't do that.
Right. So here we go.
So here we give it a nice turn. Vision's fine. And just for good measure, it's actually working. Now, if you're closer to the nade, you could get concussed and have your ears ring, but not too big a deal.
Boom, there it goes.
And that's what happens if you don't.
The classic flashbang, right?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
When that happens to me, man, I just sit back and think, I
imagine. All right. Thank you very much, lads. I think we've covered basically everything, all the tips, all the tricks, and all the practices that we Sherpas could come up with for you guys. Which brings us to one more last thing. Is there any questions from the people in chat about nades? There's something you would like to know from me, Mr. Turbobear, or Latch? Under that, let's switch to the main screen again. If there's any questions, now is your time to hit them in the chat.
All right, guys. What do you want to know? What are we going to talk about? Go through chat right now. So, Kilted Havoc in chat, he's saying, if I missed it, how much does strength affect the distance of the throw? So, Kilted, to answer your question, it's affected by two things. First is like the base throw strength of the grenade. If you look up each nade on the wiki, they each have their own strengths. For example, I think the F1's is 80, whereas the M67 is 100. So by default, your M67 can fly further. And that distance is increased by the strength skill. You get a % bonus added onto that throw strength for each level that you have in that skill. So I hope that answered your question.
And definitely try it out a little bit. Very often when I gain higher strength in game myself, I notice that, oh yeah, okay, I have to remind that my nades are going further. Like you definitely have to keep track a little bit of your strength level and how far the nades will actually reach. For me, one of the reasons to use M67 sometimes is that you will be able to throw them from so much further away that your opponents will not always expect the nade to even get close to them. And even with the long fuse time, they also have a long travel time, of course. So I definitely have picked up some surprise M67 kills with it, actually, because I've thrown them from so far that they just weren't expecting a nade being thrown by me from that distance whatsoever.
Oh, absolutely.
So, of course, that's a very good option. All right.
So does anyone else in chat have anything at all? Now's the time to be asking, especially since you got 3.
And the M67 has a longer fuse from thrown, so as it travels further, it can pop closer to your target, yeah? Oh, definitely, yeah, that's exactly what I just said. You can use the M67s to throw a nade really far, and basically by throwing it very far, it will counter the longer fuse time a little bit, which makes it like actually much closer to throwing a F1 to someone that's a lot closer to you. So definitely super interesting to use the M67. Don't sleep on them. Good nade, actually. Alrighty. There's no further questions. I think that brings us basically to the end of our podcast here a little bit. Latch, Mr.
All
Turbo,
right.
can I thank you both so much for joining me today, working on this. I think we had a good chat about anything.
Oh, yeah.
Any taps is a good Sherpa? That's a great question, sir.
Veronic's in chat paying homage to another Sherpa.
All right.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, thank you for having me on, Seikosha.
You're welcome.
I'm always happy to work with you, man.
Yep.
Thank you very much for inviting me as well, Seikosha,
You're
and it's
welcome.
been a pleasure, guys.
It was a pleasure. Before we end off here, there will be another podcast. We will be running these. The plan is every 3 weeks. Maybe we'll switch them a week here and there, depending on holidays and all the important stuff. So the next episode will actually be on the 27th of November. Same time, same day. But this time I will be joined by Mr. Afraid, the deputy coordinator, Sherpa, and Cringy, which is a Sherpa for the OCE Australia region. And we will be talking as a topic about effective duo play. So I saw some guys earlier saying I could definitely learn a thing or two about duos. Expect the same structure. We'll talk a little bit about the Sherpa itself, interview him. We'll talk a little bit about events. And then we'll jump straight into the duo team play topic, which is a super cool topic we can hopefully teach you guys a little bit around. So if there's any clips that you have where maybe you make a super good play with your teammate, or maybe you make a TK, or maybe you make a really bad play where you think like, oh, my duo really got me killed in that situation, please join the Sherpahub. We have made a Discord channel specifically for this. It's called Clips Submission. Yeah, there will be a chance of, if you send your clip there, we can review it and we can break it down on the stream during the podcast itself, and hopefully pick up a thing or two from that. So yeah, I think that basically brings us to the end. Perhaps we can get some shout outs to myself, to Latch and Turbo here. They both stream sometimes. We're gonna raid or friend Mr. Tulu. So it would be a pleasure to stay here for a little bit, boys. And send him some love from the Sherpahub. That would be greatly appreciated. Yeah, basically, I'm very happy to be joined today by Mr. Legend Turbo once again. It was epic to do this. Expect to see this a lot more often. And yeah, we'll be there next time. Thank you.
Alrighty.